Dear educators, please welcome Miss Linda Setiawan.
Thank you, Hesti, and also thank you, Pak Hendro, for a wonderful introduction to the session. Hi, teachers. Hello. My name is Miss Linda. Maybe you can unmute yourself for a few seconds just to say hello. It's good to hear all of you. Hello, teachers, Bapak, Ibu. Apa kabar semua? Semoga baik-baik. All right.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you. You may mute yourself again. But thank you for a warm welcome from all of you. It's always a pleasure for us, for Mentari Group, to host Minggu Belajar bersama Mentari Teachers Academy, and also just for me personally to be able to meet all of you educators from different parts of Indonesia and trying to look into some of the best practices to teach mathematics at the elementary level especially. So that is our goal this afternoon, really, just like what Pak Hendro mentioned earlier, that it's always our hope that after you attend our session, you will have something to take away from the session that you can apply in your classrooms so that your students will reap the most benefit. Begitu ya? That's what our team is hoping, and I hope you enjoy the session this afternoon as we are learning together. Okay, so let me share something with you. Let me share the presentation now. So this is our theme. Our theme for August 2020, today's session is using bar model for problem solving. So we're going to look into how to problem solve using this tool called bar model. If you've been using, or if you've been quite familiar with Singaporean mathematics, you're probably hearing about this bar model quite often, or you probably have seen this word bar model quite frequently in your textbooks ya Bapak Ibu. Jadi mungkin cukup familiar dengan kata-kata bar model, dan siang hari ini kita akan coba explore different problems and how we can actually introduce bar model gradually, starting from the very young children in even primary 1 and then primary 2, etc., up all the way up until primary 6. So the objectives of today's training would be, there are 3 things. First one is using bar model as a strategy to solve math problems. We will look into whole numbers and fractions, the 2 topics that I'm sure in any level in primary school, you will introduce these topics to your students. Probably for fractions it's a little bit later, but whole numbers will get introduced in primary 1. And then connecting bar model and algebra through primary 6 math problems, and also to write math problem based on a given bar model. So these are the 3 things that we are hoping to achieve through today's training. All right, to warm ourselves up this afternoon, I am quite excited to introduce a problem, of course, to all of you. As a math teacher, often I joke in my class, I love giving you guys problem and teach you how to be problem solvers. So I think not only we should be friends with problem, right, in math classes, but also just equip our students to be able to be more effective in their problem solving skills. Okay, so let me just show you what this is. So probably, I wonder if some of you have seen this problem before. Maybe you have, maybe you have not. But basically, this is kind of like logic, but also a little bit of just a little fun ways to get us started this afternoon, thinking about problems and representing them. So let me just go to a different screen right now and share with you. This is called the bucket problem. And what you will do is basically, it's like a puzzle. It says here, drag the bucket you want to pour from above the bucket you want to pour into. Continue until you have divided the 8 liters into 2 buckets with 4 liters in each. Okay, so the puzzle here would be, you see that the rightmost bucket has 8 liters of water. And then your task this afternoon, teachers, is to pour some of these waters into any of these 2 available buckets, so that the goal will be you should end up having 2 buckets with 4 liters in each. So that's the task. Using only these 3 buckets, how are you going to do this task? How are you going to pour the water so that you will end up having 2 buckets with 4 liters in each? Is that understood? Can you see my screen just okay? All right. So let me give you an example. If this is 8 liters, and in just a minute, our moderator will share the link with all of you so you can each try this out, and I'll give you just some time to be able to try this. Okay. And then I can also do the same. So it will automatically fill it out with the maximum capacity. So if this is 3 liters, then that's the maximum capacity. You cannot fill it out more than that. Okay, so just give it a try and then see every move you make will be recorded here on the screen. So I have taken 2 moves already, pouring the 8 liter of water onto the 5 liter bucket. And then the next step I took was pouring the water from the 5 liter into the 3 liter bucket. Okay, so those are 2 moves. So the goal, so let's see if any of you could actually finish the task with minimum amount of moves. So if you've managed to do it one time and there's still more time, maybe you can try again and see if you can complete the task in a less number of moves. Okay, Bapak Ibu, so that's our first task. Hesti, our moderator, have you shared the link with the participants?
Yes, already.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So Bapak Ibu, maybe you can take a look at the chat for a second and then you can give it a try. I will give you maybe about 3 to 4 minutes, and in the meantime, I will play a background music just to accompany us. If you don't like that, you may just mute the sound for a little bit, and then after that, we will come back again together to the session. All right? Okay, please have fun with it for a little bit. Bapak Ibu, silakan. You may let us know through chat, and our moderator can assist us a little bit to see if anybody have found the answer already. If you haven't found it, please enjoy. I will give you maybe about 1 or 2 more minutes just to give it a try. If you like this problem, you might want to save the address. Can be used again also if you like this problem and you would like to use it for your class. So just chat if you think you have found the answer, if you end up having 2 buckets with 4 liter each. Okay, I'll give you maybe 1 or 2 more minutes. looks like there are some, okay. Oh, somebody got it. Two people actually. I think I saw Miss Fitri and Miss Nandini, I believe. Both of you have indicated that you have found the answers. Okay, so I think we're quite ready to actually look into the solutions. And because there are two participants who have found it, I would love to hear from you, because it's always nice to be able to, just like when you're teaching in your classroom, it's always an aha moment, right? When your students are able to complete a task that you've given them. I hope that was an enjoyable one for you, as much as it was probably challenging. So between Miss Fitri or Miss Nandini, if you could kindly help me in this case, I will show you the bucket problem for all of us to see. I wonder if you actually remember your steps or no. If you don't remember, that's okay. I will just show my solution to you. Maybe I will ask first for Miss Fitri. Hello, maybe you can unmute yourself. Miss Fitri, where are you? So we can all see you, because I think you got it. Hello, Miss Fitri, can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Hello, Miss.
Hello, Miss. You said
Hello,
that you
Miss
have found...
Linda.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Alhamdulillah fine, yeah.
Very good.
I'm sorry, Miss. I thought I got that, but
Uh-huh.
I think I did a mistake, so I cannot found. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right. Thank you. And thank you, Miss Fitri. It's good to hear your voice this afternoon. Miss Nandini, I believe you also indicated that you have found the answer. Can I hear your voice? Hello, Miss.
Hello, Miss.
Hi, how are you this afternoon?
I'm fine.
That's good. Okay, how many steps did it take you to complete the task?
Seven moves.
Oh, 7 moves. Yeah, I have the same. Do you think you remember the steps?
Yeah, I remember it.
Okay, okay. So let's hear from you, Miss. Maybe you can guide me, and I will do the motion for all of us to see.
Okay. First, I move the 8 liter water into 3-liter cups.
Okay.
Sorry, Miss. No, I move it into 5 liter. Sorry, I move it.
Sure. Sure. Thank you, Miss. This is what you did, yeah?
Yeah.
So,
After that, I move the 5 liter water into the 3-liter cups.
Okay.
Okay, so I left 2 liter over there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's 2 liter remaining.
I move the 8 liter into the 5 liter.
Okay.
So only remain 1 liter over there.
Okay. It's very little of water remaining. And then?
So I move wrong, Miss.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
So
I move 8 liter. The 3 liter I move to. Oh yeah. The 3 liter I move to 8.
okay. So move this back, isn't it?
Sorry, just no wrong one, Miss. Can we just replay?
Okay. From the beginning then.
Yeah, from the beginning. Okay.
Okay.
8 liter into 5 liter.
Sure. So that was the first move.
Yeah. After that, 3.
5 to 3.
Yes. 5 to 3. Okay. After that, 3 to 8.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 to 3.
5 to 3.
Yes.
Okay. I got it.
Okay. After that, I move 8 to 5.
8 to 5. Okay.
So only 1 liter remain.
Yes.
Is correct.
Okay.
After that, I move 5 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then
that's the first one. That's the first bucket of 4 liter of water. If you can give a thumbs up through reaction or a clap, that will be wonderful. So she found the first one, the first bucket. Thank you. I can see Hesti from here. And then the last one.
3 to 8.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Nandini. I wish I could give you a little something as a reward, but because we are not meeting face to face, I cannot do that.
Thank you, Miss.
Yeah, that was 7 move. I Oh, thank you. I think my video has been spotlighted for everyone to see. So thank you, Miss Nandini, for successfully found it. My solution is somewhat similar. It's 7 moves also. It's just a little bit of variation of moves somewhere in between, but it's just the way you will, move the waters and think about how can I get 4 from only 3, 5, and 8, 2 fours actually, 2 sets of 4. So thank you very much for doing that with all of us. And before we go into our topic, why did I choose to share something like this with all of you? Because you see that our topic today is really about problem solve, right? So there is a problem at hand to solve, and a bar model is really a representation of that problem. So if you can see here, the buckets here, virtual, of course, the buckets with water, it serves as a visual representation of the problem for us to help us think through how can we complete the task, or how can we solve the problem by really literally just doing all of the different motion and then keep track of our moves. So that's a lot like what we are going to do today. We're going to look into problems, and then we are going to look into how can we best represent those problems and solve it effectively. Okay, so that was for the opening, and thank you teachers for trying that with us. If you're still curious, kalau masih penasaran Bapak Ibu, the link is always available and open, and you can try that again at your own time. Who knows, maybe you can actually do it less than 7 moves, or maybe a little bit more than 7 moves with some variation in between. Okay, and you can also try this out with your students if you're interested to do like a problem solving kind of lesson. Okay. So that was for the warm-up. And before we move further into the different types of problem this afternoon, I would like to just introduce you to the general steps or problem-solving steps that we would commonly introduce to our students. The first one will be understanding the problem. And then secondly, we would devise a plan or select a strategy. And then next, we will execute the plan. And then next, we will verify the solution. I think these 4 steps, you probably call them by different names. You probably simplify them, but the basic ideas would always be understand what the problem is, plan, do the plan, and then verify the solution. Those are the problem-solving steps. And one of the strategies to problem solve is to give a representation of the problem. So bar model is an example of giving a representation of a math problem. So if you look into step 2 and 3, devising a plan, execute the plan, bar model could be one of those plans that you could use and execute actually to solve related math problems, particularly for whole numbers and fractions. Okay, so we're going to start by the way I am structuring the problem is really from the younger level, so from the primary 1 level problems all the way into primary 6. Okay, so that way hopefully we can all see how the level of complexity of the problem also develop over the different grade level. So let's start from a very simple one. Okay, here is a problem that is really quite simple. It says Rose has 15 marbles and Sanjit has 3 more marbles than Rose. How many marbles does Sanjit have? Okay, so in order to solve this problem, it says use connecting cubes to show the number of marbles. So this is not yet the bar model as you probably know it, but to introduce bar model, before you even introduce bar model, you can use something that is concrete to introduce the idea of representation, right? Visual representation to show quantities. So in this case, there are 2 people. Each one has different amount of marbles. So let me just demonstrate it briefly for all of you to see. And I will just spotlight my video. Okay, I hope you can all see my screen here. So in our original problem, and feel free to just make note at any point, because I believe you have your own notebooks and such. So if you would like to take note or take a picture at any point, please feel free to do so. For the material itself, as I've said, we will share these materials with you. So no worries if there are some details that you are missing along the way. So Rose has 15 marbles. So here, the connecting cubes, as you probably have introduced connecting cubes as early as primary 1, or maybe sometimes even in kindy level, each one of the cube will represent an amount. Okay, you can do this a whole lot of different ways. You can say that one marble or one cube represent one marble. And that way, if Rani has 15 marbles, then how many cubes will you need? 15 of them, right? But in this case, just to make it a little bit easier to present in front of you, we will just go by 3. So each cube will just say that each cube represents a 3, because your teachers, I think it's safe enough for me to do that. So it means if Rani has 15, we're going to skip count by 3, right? So how many cubes will I need? Well, I start with 3, and then I have 6, and then next I will have 9, 12, and then 15, okay? And then I will just connect all of these. So Rani has 15 marbles because we skip counting by 3, right? So 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. That's the number of marbles that Rani has. And then it says that Sanjit has 3 more marbles than Rani. So it means 3 more, right, than what Rani has. So we will start by having the same exact amount of marbles first, okay? Because this is 15, then I will also have the same amount, 15. But Sanjit has 3 more. So it means, what do we do now? If you were to teach this in your class, how many more cubes do I need for this one? You see that I'm using a different color. This one stands for Rani's marbles, and this one stands for Sanjit. Feel free, if you want to speak up, you can just unmute yourself. So how many extra cube will I need in order to show the number of marbles that Sanjit has compared to Rani's? How many more cubes do I need? Remember that we skip count by 3, right? So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and then he needs to have 3 more. So how many more cubes do I need to show?
1 more cube.
1 more cube, very good. So in this case, I have 1 more cube. Okay, and that's the extra, right? So if you count on from 15, remember 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, then that will be 18 because you skip counting by 3, okay? So how many marbles does Sanjit have? Sanjit has 18 marbles altogether. So introducing a problem this way, make it a little bit more accessible for your students, and they will be more prepared later on when you're introducing them to the actual bar model. So what is bar model? Bar model is actually representation of quantities, right? These are the quantities of the actual objects represented by the cubes. And of course, if you would prefer in your class to really demonstrate one by one, so as in if you have 15, you will have 15 cubes altogether, that can also be done that way, okay? So that was the first level. You just introduce using a concrete material to your students before introducing what the actual bar model looked like. So that was the solution. And then in order to verify the solution, of course, you can use the number facts, the addition and subtraction facts. So if 15 plus 3 is 18, then 18 minus 3 should equal to 15. So you know that the answer is correct. So even as early as primary 1, you can already introduce that the process to solve problems. A good way to end the process would be to verify your solution. There's always a way to verify or check your answers, whether you got the correct one or not. And in this case, what can you do? You can use subtraction in order to verify whether the addition was done correctly. So that's primary 1. So of course, you can also do the same for this type of problem. As you can see, it's very similar to the first one that I demonstrated just now. There are 2 people. The first one is Jawa, and Jawa makes 10 glasses of orange juice. Liwei makes 8 more glasses of orange juice than Jawa. How many glasses of orange juice does Liwei make? So now, moving on to the picture here, and as you can see, the picture is really just the connecting cubes, right? So each one, what does each cube represent in this case? Let me just ask you, and if you would like to answer, you can answer that. What does each cube represent in this case? Anyone?
Glasses.
The number of glasses of orange juice. Thank you. So each cube represent the number of glasses of orange juice that each person make. So as we can see, how many cubes are there next to Jawa's name? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you can do the same for Leeway. It says 8 more glasses of orange juice. So as you can see, the connecting cubes grow longer. So here you can already see that the length of the cubes, of the connecting cubes, is showing the different quantities. And the longer it gets, it means the more amount that the object, the more amount that you will have for each of the object. So then here you can guide your students for the practice. Okay, so okay, Jawa, make 10 glasses of orange juice, and then guide the students to fill out the blanks with the appropriate amount. So 10 plus 8 equals 18, and Leeway makes 18 glasses of orange juice. So that's really, really basic, but those are some of the main ideas behind, you know, representing your problem. So use something as simple as connecting cubes. If you do not yet have a set of connecting cubes, let me tell you, it's actually not very difficult to find. Even through any of online shopping applications these days, you can get connecting cubes if you wish to do the same kind of demonstration with your students. What I'm using at the moment, by the way, now that we are all doing this online kind of teaching, what I'm using is just my phone camera, and then I have the connecting cubes all set up, and I can show the demonstration. Okay, this one is now, I hope a few people can participate in this one. So to end up the primary 1 level problems, if you're using my Pause Are Here textbook, you're probably quite familiar with this feature called Put On Your Thinking Cap, which basically about whole numbers, but then the question will be a little bit harder usually than the routine ones. So as you can see here, let me just introduce this problem. It says, pick any 3 numbers shown below and complete each addition equation. Use the number only once for each equation. So the numbers are all whole numbers, starting from 2 to 7. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you have to combine 3 numbers at a time in order to make 12. Okay. So I'm going to go back again to my other camera, and again, feel free, if you wish to participate, you may use raise hand feature or just unmute yourself and then speak up. And I'll find myself again in the other camera. Okay, there it is. So here, because we started off with the connecting cubes, so I will also use the connecting cubes this time to demonstrate how you can possibly do something like this also with grade 1 students. So you can challenge their thinking even though they're still in grade 1, but there are ways that you can already involve them in something that is a little bit non-routine and something that will bring them to a higher order thinking in mathematics. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are the connecting cubes, as you can see. Let me just put away the rest. Okay. So you can do something like this with your students, explore, and let them try. I mean, ideally, if this were to be in a face-to-face meeting, and you have more than 1 set of connecting cubes, of course, you can allow the students to maybe try this in a group of 4, in a group of 3, or as partners, you know, and then try to come up with different ways or different solutions to the problem. So in this case, let's just give it a try. Maybe I can hear a couple of you volunteers and give us the answers. What do you think is the first combination? What can we combine together to make 12 from these cubes? You can just say 2 and what, okay? Or you can just say, yeah.
2, 3, and
2,
7.
3, 7.
2, 3, and 7.
Yes.
So 2, 3, and 7. And of course, the action is quite simple. You just need to connect the 3 different colors here. So the red, gray, and white in this case. So 2 and 3 make 5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well done. That's the first combination, 2, 3, and 7. Is there another way to find 12?
4, 6, 2.
So 4, 6, and 2. So let me take the blue, the brown, and the red cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Very good. Is there still another way to
3,
find
5,
12?
3, 5, 4.
3, 5, and 4. So this is the 4. And let's find 3 and 5. So that's 3. And that's 5. So gray, blue, and black. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well done. Anyone else maybe for one last one before we move on? Oh, actually some of you wrote, I'm sorry, I just look at the chat now. People are saying 2, 3, 7, 5, 3, 4, 2, 5, 6. I don't think we've done 2, 5, 6 yet. So in this case, I will have 2, and then 5, and 6. So I'll have 2, 5,
That's
and
13.
6. Is that still a 12?
13.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, that doesn't work. Okay.
Yes. It's not.
Okay. So 7, 3, and 2. That's another one from Miss Fitri, I believe. So 7, 3, and 2. So 7 is the white one, 3, and 2. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Nice. That one is also a 12. So you see, introducing, this is the way that you can introduce bar model. You can introduce with the connecting cubes. And then later on, you can introduce how to draw a bar model. Oh, it's supposed to be 2, 4, 6, not 2, 5, 6. Yeah. Thank you, Pak Trijoko. Yeah. So problem like this put on your thinking cap, as I've said, it's a little bit more complex and it usually allows for multiple solutions. So that's why it's also good to introduce this kind of problem every now and then alongside the routine ones. So your students are used to thinking a little bit differently than they would normally do in regular problems or routine problems. Okay, let me continue. Thank you for participating very well so far. Okay, those are just some of the solutions that I took note on. Okay, what are some learning values to obtain from this question? I think I kind of mentioned a little bit. It's to get out of the usual or routine problems and try to do something a little bit different. Think differently, possibly also collaborate. If you are allowing your students to think about this type of problem together, then you are fostering collaboration for your students. Okay, now we're moving on to primary 2. One of our objectives in this training is also to invite all of you to try writing a problem based on a given situation. In this case, this is from primary 2 actually. So you imagine something like this, you could actually try to do as well with your students in the primary 2. It says write an addition story and a subtraction story for the picture. So you provide this picture for them, like in a farm, there's different kind of animals. You can write an addition story or a subtraction story, or you can ask your students to write both. As a matter of fact, I would love to see your creativity in this case. And our moderator, Hesti, hello. Can you share the link again with our participants through chats? What we are going to do is we are going to try to see if you can write this in a Padlet. This is kind of like a virtual whiteboard that everyone can see. So we can look at each other's ideas as we are doing this. So I will share a different part of my presentation. And here, I've given a sample. Again, feel free to also use this idea if you like it. Sometimes I introduce a tool in my session also for exposure for you if you have not used that before, or maybe you use it in a different context. So here, in a minute, there should be a link that is sent your way. And here's the picture that I introduced you. And here's a sample that I have written. There are 6 ducks in the pond. There is 1 duck by the pond. How many ducks are there all together? This is addition problem, right? So feel free to think about, look at this picture and where your mind takes you, show that to us. Show your creativity to us. Okay, thank you, Hesti, for sharing the link with everyone. All you need to do is just click on that link, and I think you will be prompted to write a password. You may just type up the password. Oh yeah, I see somebody access this. Thank you, Ms. Fitri. I think you can also click on the picture if you want to enlarge it. If it is a little too small, I see that some of you are looking very closely to your computer screen. You can click on the picture and it will enlarge it for you. Oh, Pa Hendro is participating as well, or do we have a participant named Hendro? If you've never used Padlet before, you see this plus button at the bottom right corner, and you can click on that in order to add something. You can also double click everywhere on the screen and it will provide a place for you to write your problem. The math problem, of course. Let me wait just a few moments so everybody feels comfortable enough to finish their problems here. It can be addition or subtraction problem. Keep in mind that this is equivalent to grade 2 level. So that's why we are still talking about addition, subtraction, simple problems. I start seeing more notes here. Let me just erase the other one that belongs to me. You can choose to be anonymous, or you can also put your name up there. Oh, I see one problem that I think is done from Miss Evangeline. There are 4 horses and 5 cows. Where was it? I kind of lost it. Let me just wait for a bit because everyone is busy at the moment typing. There are 4 horses and 5 cows. How many horses and cows are there? Okay, thank you, Miss Evangeline. This is from Pahendro. There are 7 little ducks, 6 ducks in the pond and 1 near the pond. Okay, thank you, Pa. Oh, this one from Miss Maria is comparing between 2 different kinds of animals, horses and chickens, I think. So feel free to take a look if you would like to take a screenshot so you will remember that you've done this activity in this session. Feel free to do that. Let me give everyone probably about 2 more minutes if you wish to complete your sentences. Somebody wrote, there are 9 chickens, 4 horses, and 6 sheep. How many animals are there altogether? Thank you. Some of you wrote about comparing the different type of animals, such as horses and chickens. How many more chickens than the horses there? Very good. So actually, from a simple stimulus, from a simple picture, there are different ideas that you can already think about, right? And I think training ourselves as well as training our students to think about writing problems is also a good way to develop their mathematical thinking, because now they are the writers of the problem instead of just being the problem solvers. They now have to think, how can I write a problem that makes sense based on a given picture or a given model. I think give you one more minute, and then I think we should be ready to move on to the next part. Wow, our board is quite full. Nice. Okay, nice. So if you have a full class and you wish to engage your student in a similar activity like this, Padlet is quite effective because you can see your students' participation. You can collect some feedback from them. Okay, I hope you're finished with your story problem. And now we come back again to our topic here. So thank you for participating in that part. Now this is primary 2 level problem. So you remember that the primary 1, we were using a simple manipulative such as connecting cubes in order to introduce the concepts of a model to represent quantity. And then now in primary 2, we are starting to transition here. If you can see here on the screen, there's a simple problem. 2 people, again, Helen bought 14 strawberries, Nala bought 17 strawberries. How many strawberries did they buy altogether? Okay, so still there's the connecting cubes here to remind the students, hey, you've seen this something like this before in the previous grade level. What did you do? Okay, you use the connecting cubes to represent the amount of strawberries. Okay, how many strawberries does Helen have? 14. How many strawberries does Nala have? 17. Okay, but now bring it one step further, and this is what you know as the bar model. It's simply a rectangle that you divide into the different parts based on the quantities that you see. So in this case, I've actually provided the bar model as well, and I would show it again to you. So here you can see. You can use something like this as well, just a printout rectangular model if you wish to draw the model by hand, or you can even start off also with something like this, you know, with the number of grids, and then you can draw the model as well. So here, let me just use the rectangular ones. So there are 14 and 17, right? So if it's still quite difficult for your students to try to kind of like estimate, so how big you should do it, I would suggest that you can use the squares, right, to guide. So they can just count how many squares and then they can draw the model. Here, if you're using the rectangular ones, you can just divide this into 2 equal parts, right? So you can start with the 14 or you can start with the 17. It's not, 14 and 17 are not that much different. So you want to be careful when showing that to your students. So probably just a little bit more than half here for the 14. So half is about there. So maybe I'll just divide it like that. So this part. So the idea of bar model is you always start with the bar itself, which is just a rectangular form. Just draw a rectangle and then you can divide it into 2 parts, sometimes more than 2 parts. Later on, for the more complex questions, which are about fractions, you will see that the 1 bar will be divided into just more smaller parts. Okay, so let's say this is the 17 strawberries. Okay, so that represents 17, and then the other part will be 14. So the remaining part of the bar model is representing 14. Okay, so 17 and 14. So if you want to know how many strawberries do these two people have all together, what do you need to do? It's like combining the connecting cubes, right? You will combine this amount, so the green one and the pink one, so 17 plus 14. This will actually be a good time also if you're familiar with number bond. You can also bring that again in this case in order to add the two numbers. So how do you add? There's a lot of different strategies that of course you can use in order to add these two numbers. You can do the top-down strategy, right? Arrange the number based on the place value and then add the two numbers. So you can do it like that. You can also use number bond. So like if you have 14, maybe you can guide your students into thinking, okay, can you think of two numbers that will make 14? And I think in this case, you can probably think about 14 as combining 10 and 4. And in a similar way, if you need 10 and 4 in order to make 14, maybe you can also do something similar with 17. And this one will be 10 and 7. Okay. There is one question. I'm aware of Miss Mary or Marie. Miss Mary, yeah. Hello, Miss. Can I hear from you?
Hi, Miss.
Hello.
Yeah, my queries there.
Yes. Thank you for your question. I think you're curious about how to set up the camera.
Yeah,
How
because
do
you
I
have
set up
shared
my
that
camera?
you're
Yes.
just using phone, and actually, that's the struggle I'm having right now when I'm
With demonstration, yeah, we are real-time demonstration. It's not just you. It's actually a lot of math teachers. Based on my experience, I've also been wondering if real demonstration is still possible. So I think it's relevant to all of us. So let me just finish this part, and maybe in one of our Q&A session, this will be the first question that I will take. Does it sound good? Yeah, you're welcome, Miss. Okay. So this one is 10 and 4, and the other one is 10 and 7. So of course, if you're familiar with number bond, you can combine 10 and 10 together. So 10 and 10 make 20. And then 4 and 7, you can ask your student to add that, or 4 and 7 can even be combined again to make 10, right? So you will have 4 and 6. That's 10. And then you will have 1. So then you will add 20 and 10 and 1, which is 31. Okay, so just a little connection
Miss,
there. Yes.
Miss, 4
Hello?
and 7 or 4 and 6, Miss?
Yeah, 4 and 7. You can split 7 into 6 and 1. So you can split this further.
Oh,
Because
okay.
typically when you are making 10, it's just a lot easier, right? Because counting in 10.
It's called base of 10.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Miss.
Yeah. It's just a mental strategy. Sometimes some students are comfortable and ready enough to just do something like this also. Okay. All right, so that's the beginning of bar model. Just as early as primary 2, you can already use the model in order to solve some problems related to whole numbers. And there's always that part that says check, right? Check if the answer is correct. So you're adding the two values as I've demonstrated. And then you can use subtraction in order to check whether your addition was correctly done. How many mangoes were not rotten? How would you draw the model? And maybe how would you solve it? Okay, maybe I'll give you just a few moments to try. And if we can invite 1 or 2 people to just show your model later on in front of your camera, your web camera, that will be wonderful. Okay, so if you wish to show everybody, you can just raise hand and our moderator will help me identify who you are. So you can show us. So first, how would you draw the model? And then secondly, how do you use that model in order to solve the problem? Is anyone ready with an answer? Oh, Miss Fabi? Sure. Can you show it a little bit closer to the camera? And maybe we can spotlight Miss Fabi Mulyasari. Yes. So there are 21 altogether and 6 of them were rotten. So you will look into the differences, right? Between those two, Aman. Very good. Thank you, Miss Fabi. Yeah, so altogether, there are 21 mangoes. And in order to find the number of mangoes that were not rotten, you will need to take away those mangoes that were rotten. Okay, so the answer will be 15. So you see that in the first one, we are presented with 2 parts that are combined, and that makes up the whole. And in this one, you have the whole, so the whole set consists of 21 mangoes. And then you know one part of that whole, which is 6. So you are finding the other part, right, which is 15. Simple as that. So addition, subtraction, those are the scope of whole number type of problems that you can solve in primary 2 using bar model. Okay. This one, I will just try again, and maybe you can draw the model later on. Okay, it says grab a handful of paper clips, count them, have your classmate do the same. Originally, this was designed for partner activity, but I will just try to demonstrate it now with the objects, and then you can draw the model and try to solve the question here, who has more and how many more. Okay, so I will just use buttons this time. Okay, so it just says grab a handful. So I'll grab some of the blue buttons. I will use blue buttons and pink buttons in this case. Maybe I'll have more. And then maybe a different teacher this time can draw the model. So let me rearrange this button so it will be easier for you to see. So suppose I have some buttons, blue buttons and pink button. Here I have the blue buttons. There you go. You can already see that those are the blue buttons I'm using or I'm taking. And here are the pink buttons. So instead of between 2 people, I will just ask you between the 2 colors, which button is more, which color is more. Okay, maybe a different person this time can try to.
Pink is more than blue.
Yes, pink is more than blue. Would you like to try to draw the model? If you are to compare these two, how would you draw the bar model to represent the blue and the pink? If you're ready, you can tell us. Oh, banyak ya. There is Miss Rachel. There is Miss Rahmi, Miss Anita. Miss Anita, do you think you can show us the model? And maybe our operator can help spotlight the video. Thank you, Miss Anita. Ah, thank you. Very nice. So B stands for blue, isn't it? And P stands for pink.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I think it should be 7, yeah. Just a minor correction there. Because there's one extra small one. But I think your model is appropriate. It's correct. So you're having two rectangles there. One represents 6 and the other one represents 10. And you just have to find what's the difference in the length between those two. Miss Rachel. Oh, thank you, Miss Rachel. You raise your hand also. Okay. The blue is 7, sorry. And the pink one is 10. Oh, thank you very much. That's very nice. So that's the blue and that's the pink. So what's the difference between the two amount? Okay. And the difference is just the different amount between 10 and 7, which is 3. Okay, thank you. All right. So those are some of the activities that you could possibly do for grade 2 level. You can also use grid paper, of course, in order to assist your students in drawing the bar model if they're still early on and it's quite difficult for them to kind of estimate the length. Okay, this is another opportunity for put on your thinking cap. So if you can try this maybe for about 2 minutes or so, it will be wonderful. If you have connecting cubes, you can use that, but I guess at this time you can just use your paper and pencil and try to see what will be the solution for this one. If Kathy and Lisa have a total of 20 video games and Lisa gives 9 video games to Kathy, Kathy now has 18 more video games than Lisa. How many video games does Lisa have now? So maybe you can try the different amount that make 20 and see which one work for this problem. I'll just play the music in the background for accompanying you as you try this problem. If you found it, you can let us know through chat. If you wish to participate, you can also use the raise hand feature. Has anyone found it? someone found it already or not yet? Oh, I see something in the chat. Oh, Miss Evangeline is showing something. Yes, Miss, maybe you can unmute yourself. Thank you.
Because at first it's 20. Is 2. So 2 plus 9 is 11. So Lisa have 11 video.
Okay. Thank you, Miss, for showing that. And thank you for drawing the model as well. Okay. Okay, before we move on to the primary three level problems, let me just show you very quickly, because there was this question earlier, and I think maybe some of you were wondering also about the same thing, about how do I set up my other camera. So let me just take this time very quickly just to show you how I set up my other camera. So it's basically like this. So maybe you can see that there are multiple different ways that you can set up another camera if you wish to do some demonstration with concrete objects. The one that is the leftmost is the visualizer or document camera. If your school happen to have this kind of tool, it might be useful for you to borrow and then to actually use this in your math session. But something that I actually have at the moment is more similar to this one right here that you see at the right, on the right hand side. So basically this is just like a selfie stick, but it has kind of like a tripod leg, so you can put your camera here at the part that I circle. You can put the camera from your phone. Actually, you can put your phone here, and then you can do the real-time demonstration as you're teaching your lesson. Or you can also use what is called flexible arm, which is basically very similar to this tool right here. And again, the camera that you're using will be from your phone. So you're using your phone camera in order to be your second camera, and then you can do the demonstration quite freely in your lesson. The result will be like the picture here at the middle. So you will have, for instance, here I was trying to demonstrate the different ways that you can arrange your square papers, and this is what it looks like. Yeah, so if you're interested to give it a try, just look for something called flexible arm in order to plug your phone camera, plug your phone so that you can use the camera there. So that is my answer to the previous question. Is there a cable? No, not really. The flexible arm is just really something that you can attach to your desk, kind of like that tripod. So you don't need an extra cable. It's just kind of like a phone holder, if you know that, kind of like a phone holder in your car, or a phone holder for, you know, different purposes, like at home, if you wish to watch some movie, for instance, and you don't want to hold your phone the whole time. It's something like that.
Sorry. I've noticed that there is a cable. I mean, yeah, the phone will be attached in the tripod. Then how will it be connected to the computer that you're using while you're having the Zoom, just like this?
Yeah, good question. I will actually go into the session. I will install the Zoom in my phone as well. And I will get into my Zoom using both my computer and my phone. So that's how it's getting connected.
Oh.
So it's not extra cable, but I actually log in with 2 devices.
Okay.
Computer and phone. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Miss.
You're welcome. All right. Let's get going here. Now this is grade 3 level problem, and this is again something about story problem. Complete the stories. You may use the numbers provided. It says there were 2,175 children in a school. There were blank number of boys, and there were blank more boys than girls. So let's just give it a thought for a bit. So those 5 numbers are available for you, but you have to kind of choose which one will be the appropriate number for the number of boys and the extra number of boys compared to the number of girls. You may use the chat to type in possible answers. Which numbers should not be an option? Which numbers that you know will not be an option immediately once you see this problem? And how did you pick the right combination of numbers? Maybe our moderator.
Ms. Setiawan?
Yes, sure.
Okay. There were 2,175 children in a school. There were 1,450 boys. There were 725. Oh, wait. No. Sorry. I thought it will not be more than boys. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm
guessing that many of you are probably trying out these numbers, right? Trying out the number combinations and see which one works. I think our students are likely to use the same approach in this case because there are 5 different options available. Actually, there is one option that we can already eliminate in this case, right? That's why that was my first question. Which number should
2,175,
right?
Yeah, because that's the total number of children.
That's the total number of children, so you can immediately eliminate that one. And I think I see some numbers in the chat. Okay.
Okay, may I answer? Sorry.
So there is, sorry, just a second. It says 1,450
boys.
Boys.
And then there were 725 more boys than girls.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much. So something like this can also provide opportunity for non-routine, I guess, a little bit out of routine problems. So it doesn't always have to be adding to quantities. Sometimes you can also use this type of question to challenge your student a little bit. Okay. All right. I think we are ready for this one. This is about writing again, and I would like to introduce you to another tool here that you can also use in your virtual session. So now, this is a writing 2-step word problem with the words and numbers given in the box. So here's an example for you. Mr. Gan had 5,000 fruits. He bought another 3,045 fruits. There were 1,960 rotten fruits. How many fruits were not rotten? So we're going to use the Jamboard for this. So let me show you what the board looked like. If you've used this before, maybe it's quite easy for you. If you have never used it before, now we are trying it together in this session. So in a minute, I will ask that our moderator kind of similar. And then take a picture and upload it here. So there are 2 ways that you can share with us your answers. If you want to just write immediately, you see that on the left-hand side, there are different tools here, and you would like to choose the sticky note. And once you have chosen the sticky note, you can start writing the problem. So for instance, you can write, I'll just write what's available there. So Mr. Gan had 5,000 fruits. And then you can save it. You can also move this around. So if you wish to involve your students, you know, in participating in writing a problem, for instance, you can use this tool as well. Now, I have copied this board actually a number of times. So if there's no more space for you, what you can do is you can go to the next frame, and it's the same thing here. Also the same question, and you can add your answers there. There's also another one, the third one, the fourth one, etc. So have fun with it. Let me give you maybe a few minutes to give it a try. And moderator, Hesti, can I ask that you share the link to the participants, please? Thank you.
Yes. Already, ya, Miss.
Okay, thank you.
Permission.
I cannot access the Jamboard.
Cannot access.
Let me check the link. Maybe you can try the other link here. Usually if the other one, the shorter one doesn't work, maybe this one will work.
I have just tried and
Mm-hmm.
I can.
Still cannot, yeah, still restricted. Okay.
But if I copy the link and
Mm-hmm.
then I paste in the browser, web browser,
Mm-hmm.
it can.
Okay, so maybe instead of clicking if it doesn't work, it's okay. You can still do this manually and we can still hear from you, maybe one or two people, that's fine.
Cannot access.
Cannot, yeah. Maybe it's restricted somehow. It's okay. Maybe we can just change this part a little bit. So if you can Okay. Any volunteers? We can just hear from you this time, since the link has a little bit of problem. Maybe if I can hear from 1 or 2 people, if you think you finished with the problem, that will be great. Is there somebody who raised their hand? Maybe Hesti can help me take a look at the participant's name and see if anybody is ready. Or you can also type in the chat and then we can see from there. I think I see something in the chat, yeah, Hesti.
Yeah, some of Bapak dan Ibu were in the chat column, Miss.
Oh, you were answering this, yeah. So
Miss Fitri
6,085.
and Pak Ahmad.
But we need to leave the problem, right? Not the answer.
Yes, write the problem, write the steps. Okay. Okay, maybe what we can do is I will just go to the next part, and then if you think you're ready, you can just type in the chat, and then later we can, Hesti can help me see if there is any problem written, then we can just read it later, okay? Okay. So this is just as a sample for you. So from writing a problem and then using the model, this is pretty similar. The only difference is just, as you can notice here, the number grows larger because this is for primary 3. So we adjust it with the numbers that primary 3 level students would be using, which is the numbers in the thousands. But everything else is the same. I would like to play a short clip to you. This is also something that you might find useful for the context of digital learning at the moment with the distance learning. So let me just show it very quickly to you. It will be the model that you have seen. It's just now digital instead of you are doing the actual demonstration, but this one is digital. So let me just prepare that. And then you can see how it's played. Okay, let me share that.
Amber has 24 nickels and Holly has 70 nickels. How many more nickels does Holly have than Amber? We can model the number of nickels that Amber has by dragging a block onto the work area and resizing it to represent Amber's nickels. And we should label it. And our label will read Amber's nickels. And we should show the value of Amber's nickels by dragging another label to the model and typing in the number 24. So this block represents Amber's nickels, and we know that Amber has 24 nickels. Now we have to model Holly's nickels. Holly has 70 nickels, and 70 is greater than 24. So we're going to use a block that's bigger than the one we used to model Amber's nickels. And we can label this block Holly's nickels. And we should show that this block represents the number 70. We can drag a label and enter the number 70. Now the question asks, how many more nickels does Holly have than Amber?
So it's something.
So the question is asking us to find the difference between
how we can use
these two
same,
values.
kind of features here to help us in solving problem related to fractions. So as we go to the next part later on, we will make use also of the same digital tools in order to show different parts solving fractions. Okay. So here, I would like to go back to where we were before. We were actually almost ready for Q&A, but I will save it for a little bit later so we can look into more parts in this presentation first. Okay. Okay, so this is now primary 5. And in this problem, we are starting to take a look into not just addition and subtraction, but here we're looking also into multiplication. So suppose Mrs. Kaur was 6 times as old as her grandson 7 years ago. How old is Mrs. Kaur now if the sum of their present ages is 77 years? So basically what we are looking into here is you are dividing each of the bar model, Mrs. Kaur, into 6 parts because her age 7 years ago is 6 times as old as the grandson's age. And then here, I think the problem that I selected about age is because sometimes it's actually one of the difficulties, right? Because sometimes students do not realize when somebody gets older, the other person is getting older also. So this part right here where it shows 7 years later, of course, both Mrs. Kaur and the grandson is already 7 years older, right? And that is the part that sometimes students do not recognize. Sometimes they forget that it's happening simultaneously for both. And then so basically the idea of using the bar model here is this is the model and it shows different amount, stands for a different amount of age. And then after that, take away the 2 7s, right, from this model, and then you will count how many equal parts there are, and then you will divide. So here's the complete set of solutions. So take away both of those 7 from 77, which is the total amount of the ages of the 2 people. So you take away those 2 7s, so you get 63, and then you count how many equal parts that there are. Actually, let me just demonstrate that now we are already in the fraction part. Yeah, thank you for your answers. I think I see some answers here. I would like to go back again to that tool that I was using earlier. And then here we will be using it to talk about fractions. So here, same, as you can see, this is the same setting as before, but now I would like to use it in order to solve problem related to equal parts. Okay, so more related to fractions as well in the bar model. So let's just try, for instance, the first one. The basic one here will be finding the part. So it's already readily available for you to use. And what I like about this tool is also you can guide your students step by step while also discussing the solution. So let's take a look at this problem. For example, the Sherlock Holmes Detective Agency was hired to solve 28 mysteries last year. The detectives were able to solve 1/7 of the mysteries. How many mysteries did the detective agency solve? So first, you will start with the model, right? So this will be one whole, and you can just drag that. And you can also label that. And you can check, okay? If you hear that sound, it means that's correct. And then it says the detectives were able to solve 1/7 of the mystery. So it says here, there's even a clue here, so it's kind of handy. You can even share this with your students so they can do this individually. It says use the slider to divide the block into the correct total parts. You are building the fraction 1/7. So it means how many equal parts do we need in order to build 1/7? We will need
7.
7. Mm-hmm. And then it says, so it's really step by step, right? Select blocks to make the fraction 1/7. So you will color it. Okay, that's 1/7. So one shaded part out of 7 equal parts. And then it says 1/7 is what the detectives were able to solve. So you will put this. And then the other parts would be the mysteries unsolved. Okay. And now there's a question mark and there's 28 because the detectives were able to solve a total of 28 mysteries. Then you will place 28 on the correct place. Meanwhile, that's the question. The number of mysteries solved. Checked again. So there's always checkpoints in between as well. So it will be easier to know, right, early on if that step is correct or incorrect. How many mysteries did the detective agency solve? Okay, so that's one shaded part out of 7 equal parts. So if you can even add more notes here. You would probably normally do that. So 28 divided by 7.
By 7.
Yeah, so you want to find 1 unit, right? 7 units
7
equals to
units
28.
to 28.
Right, that's usually the way you will get your students as well, right? So 1 unit is equal to 28 divided by 7. Which is 4. So you can save this note, close it, and then you will answer here 4. Okay. So once you get mystery solved, you get a sticker, something like that. So that's finding parts. There are different options also that you can try here. Maybe I will demonstrate one more. So let's say finding the other part. This one is probably a little bit more challenging than the one before. Okay. So Caleb and Amber are detectives. We're talking about detectives today. Caleb solved 7/9 of the mysteries last year. Amber solved 18 mysteries. So we're just going to do the same thing. So always start with one whole. That's the main idea, right? You always start with one whole rectangle, and then you will divide it into the different parts. Okay. Use the slider to divide the block into the correct total parts. You are building the fraction 7/9. So use the same prompts. How many equal parts do you need?
9.
9 equal parts. And then we will select blocks to make the fraction. So the shaded part should be 7 of them. Caleb solved 7/9. So that's the part that Caleb solved. And this is Amber's part. And click on that. That's the part for Amber. And that's the part for Caleb. Okay, and you can guide the students through the same process, right? So 18 represent 2 units in this case. So if 2 units is 18, it means 1 unit is 9. And Caleb's part there, right? So it should be 9 times 7, which is 63. Yeah. So feel free to use this with your students. This is a good way for you to actually show how you divide one whole set into equal parts, right? Kind of like related with fractions, of course, equal parts. All right. So I think I can come back again to some of the questions that we have. All right. Let me show you this one. Okay. So this is equivalent to primary 6 level problem. And it says Rina and Lisa bake 42 muffins altogether. Rani bakes 16 more muffins than Lisa. How many muffins did Lisa bake? So of course you can use the tool that I was introducing earlier. If you prefer to also use some kind of real or concrete, another tool that you can use is of course just using papers, right? You can use the rectangular papers. So for instance, if you just choose different color papers here, Maybe I can ask for a spotlight for my other camera. Okay, thank you. So if there were a comparison, for instance, that could be as simple as that. Different color means there are different amounts, right? So this is what the first person was baking, and this is what the second person was baking plus 16. Something like that could be a simple demonstration that you do before you go ahead and do the model. So in grade 6, this is where you will see the connection between the model and algebra. Yeah, those were the rectangular papers that I was showing you earlier. But as you can see, when students are in grade 6, they are already introduced, they're starting to get a formal introduction to algebra, even though the algebraic thinking itself can already be built since grade 2. But in grade 6, it's really when they are getting introduced into, hey, if you do not know some quantities, then you will represent that with a letter, let's say X. So here, for instance, this is the amount that Lisa baked, and then the amount that Rani baked will be X plus 16, right? And then all together they bake 42 muffins. So as you can see, if you imagine that students have been introduced to the bar model since they were as young as grade 2, then looking at this kind of representation, I think it will be a smoother transition for them to move from unknown quantity and then using algebra in the model, because they're already used into looking at the model. Okay, if I see equal parts, it means equal quantity. So now that I do not know what is the quantity is represented by X, but it's still the same idea, right? Because it's still equal parts. I see that Ibu Anita is nodding her head. Thank you, Bu. So it's same color, same parts. It means that's the same amount or the same quantity, even though you do not know what is the quantity of that. Okay, so that's the type of connections that I hope we can make in our classrooms. So even as early as grade 2, if they're already introduced to the model, then students will be more likely to make a stronger connection, you know, between the model and algebra, which is usually very abstract concept. So that's how the bar model related to algebra. Okay. So here, Charlene had X dollar. She bought a dress for $35 and spent the rest of her money on 3 identical notebooks. Find the price of one notebook in terms of X. I will just show you how I will think about this on my other camera, and you can start building the model for this one. And if you're brave enough, you can show the rest of the class how your model look like. Okay, so here's what I would think. Something like that to get you started. And maybe you can give it a try for a bit. Find the price of one notebook in terms of X. This is very similar to the exercise that we did before. We have one whole set. We have some equal parts. And you have a different amount here. We have some amount, $35. So maybe you can try this for a bit. And if you're ready or you wish to volunteer, you can let us know. And our moderator, as usual, Mbak Hesti, if you can kindly take a look at chat if somebody is writing up a solution or if somebody is raising hand, maybe we can ask.
Okay, Miss.
Sure. Sudah ada Bapak Ibu yang selesai mengira-ngira modelnya seperti apa? What do you think is going to be the model for this one? How is it going to look like? I provided a little bit of clue in my other camera by using the colored rectangular papers. And let's see. Not yet, yeah? So this will be how it looked like. Maybe it's similar to what you have in mind. So you have 3 equal parts here. And the price of the 3 notebooks is whatever amount that is taken by 35. And then you have to divide by 3 because there should be 3 similar notebooks. So each of the notebook will have the same price. And if the total price is 50, if Charlene had 50, it means that she bought a dress for $35. It means she has $15 remaining. So the price of 1 notebook is just the remaining amount divided by 3. Okay. So we see so far how we are starting off with connecting cubes, the concrete one, and then the bar model will be the pictorial representation, and algebraic expression is the abstract. So these are normally the sequence that you will go through in order to introduce the whole idea of bar model. Okay, these are just a couple more examples. So there were 217 children and 84 adults in the library. 5/7 of the children in the library were boys. How many boys were there in the library? How many fewer girls were there than boys? So again, you can make use of the rectangular papers. So in this case, if there are 217 children, as you can see here, if you were to do a demonstration, this would be the kind of model that you can build using the paper, using the colored paper. And there should be 7 parts altogether. And from the 217 altogether, 5/7 of the children were boys. So you can choose 5 of the same color of rectangular paper. So 5 pink, for examples. And then the rest will be, the rest of the 2 parts, will be yellow. Okay, so how many boys? That will be 5/7 of 217. Or you can also break it down into, 7 units equal to 217. So 1 unit equals to 31. And then you just multiply by 5. And of course, the number of girls is the 2 remaining parts. So once you have found 1 unit equals to 31, you just need to multiply that with 2, but it says how many fewer girls were there than boys. So you're using the comparison again. So as you can see here, I think what I can highlight from this part is what is important about drawing the bar model for your students would be, remember that each of the equal part represent the same amount or the same quantity. So here, every part represents 31. So 31, 31, 31. So that's something that you don't want to miss whenever you represent the different quantities from a whole, the different parts of the whole. Okay, I've shown you this part earlier through the digital tool. All right, so we have arrived now to the Q&A session. How many more minutes, Mahesti, do we still have?
14 minutes, Miss.
Okay, 14 minutes.
14 minutes left.
Sure. We can open up the Q&A first, and then afterwards, we can go back to some of the demonstration again for the multiplication and division if there's no question yet. Okay. Are there any questions that you wish to answer at this point, teachers?
Yeah. Bapak dan Ibu, if you have any question or want to deliver some ideas to Miss Linda or to other teachers, kindly please use the raise hand. Sudah ada? Belum ya? Ya.
Sudah ada atau belum?
Belum, Miss.
Okay. Okay. So the rest will be quite similar to before. So this is, I think we have to admit her. This is another example. Anne had 288 tickets to sell for charity. She sold 2/9 of the tickets to her family and 1/3 of them to her friends. How many tickets did Anne sell to both her family and friends, and how many tickets were there left? So if you see, this is still very similar to the previous problem where you have the whole set, and then there are two parts here, 2/9 and 1/3. Okay, so you can either draw this by hand, draw the model by hand, or show with the rectangular paper just like before. So here's the model. Oh, sorry, Miss Anita has a question. I think she raised hand.
Okay. Hello, Miss. Can
Yes.
you give one example about before-after model? Because at grade 6, I found that kind of problem like Anita and Rido has the same amount of money at first, and then after they give, that kind of problem. After they give, Anita give $5. Now Rido have 5 times than Anita. That kind of problem.
Oh, okay. So the problem about ratio, ya, Bu?
Yeah, before after there are two conditions.
Yeah. So let me go back here, Bu, because I actually have the previous one, yeah. This is kind of provide the basis for that one. So typically, when you have the you have taken away certain amount or you have removed certain amount, right? Typically, you will draw it with a dotted line like this, and then later you will compare between the amount. So the amount that you will take away, usually it's the dotted line, and then after that you will draw the rest of the equal parts. And from there, you should be able to figure out the unknown value. Yeah. Okay. Where were we at before? Okay, so this would be similar. 288 would be the total, and she sold 2/9 of the to her family and 1/3 to her friends. Okay, so this is 2/9, and 1/3 will be equivalent to 3/9. So at this point in grade 5, I think the students should have learned already about equivalent fractions, and that's what is shown in the diagram here. So you can show this kind of model and then work out the unknown values from there. Okay, and then it's still the same, follow after the same steps. You take a look at 9 units equals to 288. So 1 unit will be 288 divided by 9 and so on. So you will be able to find that 5 units equals to 160. And Anne sold 160 tickets to both her family and friends. How many tickets left? And that would be using the model, you will know that the total amount of ticket here is 160, 5/9, and the rest will be 4/9, and that is 128. All right. Last one here that I would like to show is the primary 6th level problem. It's also just into the different parts. Each month, Yin spends 1/3 of her salary, saves 3/8 of the remainder, and share the rest among our mother, brother, and sister. What fraction of her salary is each of them? And the Ying's salary is 5,400. How much the model here for you? You can either use the grid paper. If this is the whole, maybe I can get a spotlight for my other camera for this one. Okay. So if this is a salary, saves 3/8 of the remainder. Actually, my original one was this was the modified one. First, I divide the whole part into 3. That's how much she's spending. So originally there was no dot, this dotted lines did not exist. So just divide into 3 equal parts. And that's the amount that Ying spends, right? And then the next part is she saved 3/8 of the remainder. So from the remainder, which are 2 equal parts, because it says to 8. So that means that each part is now divided into 4. So this is divided into 4, and the other part is also divided into 4. So altogether, the remaining 2 parts out of the 3 equal parts is divided into 8. And then she saves 3/8 of the remainder and shares the rest equally among her mother, brother, and sister. So in this case, the amount that she shared will be the 5 remaining parts. But now, because I have divided already this remaining 2 parts into 8, so in total, I have 12 parts altogether. So here, what fraction of her salary does each of them receive? I think what's a little tricky here is she's got 5/12, but then it's divided equally among 3 people. So it just has to be divided again into 3 equal parts. Okay. Can you see the model now? So I started off with the one whole amount representing Ying's salary, and then it's divided into 3 equal parts first. And then this is the amount she was spending. So the remaining amount would be 2/3 of her original salary. And because we know that she saves 3/8 of the remainder, so I have to divide the remaining 2 parts into 8 equal parts. That's where this dotted line came. I divided that, and then that's the amount I saved, 3/8. And then the remaining amount would be 5/12 now, because it means that I now divided the whole set into 12 equal parts. Yes, I think I see
Miss Nita.
Yes.
Miss Rita, raise hand, Miss. Silakan,
Yes.
Miss Nita. Please, Miss Rita.
You're still on mute, Miss. Sorry.
Yep. Okay. Miss Nita.
Yes, Miss. Miss Nita, are you still with us? Did you want to ask the question about the model? Okay. So those are the drawings, yeah? So Miss Nita, if you wish to ask your question later, you can also use the chat feature. Sometimes it happens with the connection or something. You can still type in the chat if you wish to ask your question. Oh, I think we got you back. Miss Nita?
Yeah,
maybe
Miss Nita. The microphone is mute, Miss. Unmute.
Maybe, Hesti, if I can ask for your help to just type in the chat. If Miss Nita wishes to ask her questions, she can type in the chat.
Yes. Okay.
So that way she can still communicate with us. Yeah.
Okay, Miss.
So this were the drawing, yeah, Bapak Ibu. So you start with the line that divide into 3 equal parts first, because that's the part that where Ying spends her money first, and then afterwards you're dividing the remaining parts into 8. So that means you need 4 equal parts in the remaining 2 parts. And it means you can also divide the first part into 4 equal parts. So altogether, now there are 12 equal parts. And here, 512 divided by 3 equals 536. So each of the mother, brother, and sister receives 536 of her salary. And you can do again finding 1 units and then find 5 units out of 36 equal units. So she gives her mother 750 each month. There's also another method for some of your students who are probably, they do not really necessarily like to break down the steps too much. Maybe they like this part better, as you can see. So just take a look at how much she is saving. That's 3/8 out of 2/3. So that's a quarter. So it's just calculating immediately the parts from the remaining amount after she was spending it. The remaining amount was 2/3 and she was saving 3/8 of the 2/3. So just use the multiplication of fraction right away. And then that's what she was saving. And then you proceed with the calculation. You find that she is sharing 512 of her salary among her mother, brother, and sister. And then same step as before. So you divide 512 into 3 and you get 536. Part B is almost the same, except that now you're multiplying the fraction that you got from part A with 5,400 instead of finding how much is it 1 unit and then you multiply by 5. So I don't know which one you would prefer. Sometimes students prefer method 1 because it's more step-by-step. Sometimes some students prefer method 2 because it's, in a way, it's kind of like a shortcut, they sometimes will say. Okay. So I don't know which of the 2 methods do you prefer, right? If you are someone who likes to just do the multiplication right away, maybe you would prefer method 2. If you're someone who would like to see the steps, maybe you would prefer method 1. But this is the idea. You have the whole set, and then you are dividing it into the different parts based on the information that you have. Okay. So this would be another QA session. I think this would be the last, the last QA.
Yeah. Second session, Miss.
Yes, okay. Do we see something on the chat as well? Because I think some of the chats keep coming. So maybe some people are asking through chat. Yeah, I think this is an input, Our students sometimes could interpret well the questions, like how many more, something have, something then. That means the students have to subtract, okay? That is true, and sometimes I think understanding the problem, I just want to make a comment related to this one. When interpreting the problem, I think one of the first things that we would take notice of would be the keywords, right? Or than, less than, how many more, equal parts, share equally. Those will give us some information to choose which operation that is correct. Okay. So I think that's it. Mbak Hesti, I will leave it over to you. Thank you. Those were the those questions were the primary level 6 type of problem. And thank you once again, Bapak Ibu. Before we end our session, I just want to say thank you for participating in the different parts of the session today. And hopefully there were something new, or maybe if it is not completely new, maybe you are refreshed again, just being here together with us and learning together in this session. So thank you, Bapak Ibu, from me, and over again to you, Mbak Hesti.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Miss Linda. Thank you for a wonderful and informative session about understanding maths problems, setting up bar models, and successful problem solving using the bar model, Miss. And also thank you for you educators for so many ideas and questions, certainly, yeah. Hopefully today's training will be useful, and by this session, the participants are enlightened and have our mind refreshed, especially for understanding maths problem using the bar models. Dear educators, you can download the material from this session by type the link that displayed on the screen, or Bapak dan Ibu can click the link on the chat column directly. I will send to the chat column. Okay. Ya. Bapak dan Ibu boleh mendownload material ataupun handout pada pelatihan hari ini. Bapak dan Ibu boleh langsung mengklik tautan yang sudah saya kirimkan pada kolom chat. Ya. So educators, I would like to remind you to fill the attendance form through the link that displayed on the screen right now. Ya, Bapak dan Ibu, saya ingin mengingatkan lagi untuk Bapak dan Ibu mengisi formulir pendaftaran ataupun registrasi kehadiran pada pelatihan sore hari ini. Saya akan kirimkan linknya lagi di kolom chat. Ya, saya sudah kirimkan ya Bapak dan Ibu. Bapak dan Ibu boleh mengambil waktu sekitar 1 menit ke depan untuk mengisi formulir kehadiran ini Bapak dan Ibu. Input nama dan juga email Bapak dan Ibu. Terima kasih. Dear educators, at this time, we ask you to fill the feedback form from this training by typing the link, or Bapak dan Ibu can scan QR code on the display. Bapak dan Ibu can click the link on the chat column directly. Kesediaan waktunya untuk mengisi feedback ataupun umpan balik pada pelatihan ini. Feedback Bapak dan Ibu sangat bermanfaat bagi kami untuk terus meningkatkan kualitas pelatihan kami. Thank you very much for educators for your feedback. It will be good contribution for us in improving our quality and to serve you better in the future. Now, educators, let's have a photo session together. So please turn the camera or video on so we can see our face, each other, and show our happy face, certainly. And later, my colleague, Mr. Ruswan, will help me to lead or conduct this photo session.
Oke, baik Bapak Ibu. Sebelum acara berakhir, kita foto session dulu ya Bapak Ibu ya, biar nggak terlalu tegang ya. Oke, sebelumnya yang belum terbuka foto kameranya bisa dibuka dulu, Bapak Feni. Ibu Feni Halim, Ibu Fitri Wulandari, sama Bapak Agus Hairani. Bisa dibuka untuk kameranya. Kita akan ambil 2 kali take ya Bapak Ibu ya, karena di sini ada 3 halaman, jadi saya ambil 3 kali take. Jadi kita harus 3 kali pose ya. Oke? Saya hitung sampai 3. Silakan pause ya Bapak Ibu ya. 1, 2, 3. Oke, sekali lagi. 1, 2, 3. Oke, bebas Ibu. Terakhir. Ya, bebas ya. Yang seru. 1, 2, 3. Oke, baik. Terima kasih. Silakan Kak Esti dilanjutkan.
Okay. Thank you, Mas Ruswan, for the photo session. Okay, Bapak dan Ibu, the photos will be sent to our WhatsApp group. So, Bapak dan Ibu punya dokumentasi untuk pelatihan hari ini. Dear educators, now I would like to share some updates from Mentari groups. Yang pertama, the PowerPoint file will be sent to our WhatsApp group. Our admin will be sent to our WhatsApp group. Yang kedua, we have 2 platforms for educators can access. The first one is Hadir Yuk. We provide Hadir Youth site for everyone to register for Mentari group events, both face-to-face and live streaming also. Hadir Youth, through Hadir Youth, you can create a own event. Kindly visit www.hadiryuk.id regularly to check our event updates. Or if you want to have a partnership, please contact our team. We also have Mau Pintar. It's an online learning platform that provides a lot of learning videos that can be accessed every day by students or even educators to have inspiration for teaching idea. One of the current events is Mentari Tutor Online for the student learning with the best of Mentari group tutor. Currently, we have classes for Matematika, Mathematics, and English subjects. Please kindly visit www.maupintar.id to access the online learning platform. The educators, it's the end of today's session. Hopefully this session can provide a lot of information and idea for teaching's development, especially in this current condition. On behalf of Mentari Group and Mentari Teachers Academy, we would like to thank you all and hope to see you all in the next event. Stay healthy and have a nice day. Thank you, educators.
Insan mentari, hai ini waktumu mengabdi bangsa lewat pendidikan. Berangkat dari visi misi luhur, kami datang untuk membangun negeri. Berani bermimpi dan terus berkreasi, mau dan sanggup menjadi yang terbaik. Cakap cepat cerdas salah, itu